All right, welcome back to another episode of the Toolman and Len's 48 Willys Pickup Project. Got Len and Guy here today. They brought the doors, and so they've already got them unloaded here. The goal today is to strip these doors down so that they're just a shell, because there's a little bit of work to do on the bottom. We'll get a better look once they get these apart. But let's get going. Give it a grip.
Yep.
Oh, I'll give you that. There is a pin down in there. Here it is. It goes this way, right? It's right in the end. Nope. Oh yeah, we got it. Okay, cool. It's out.
Oh, already?
Yep. Now you can just lift the handle off.
Okay.
Just wiggle it and it'll come off.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect.
That was that.
And then, okay, so I'll put that in a little box. Yeah, that's
Put it
better.
in a bag so the little parts don't go missing. I had my stuff apart. There you go. Yeah.
Got any of the hardware from your old door?
Oh, is that shot?
What is it?
Oh.
I would say it's the channel.
Oh, that channel? No, I don't.
So we need a channel?
I did not have, those channels don't survive. Yeah, it's completely missing.
So I should try to find one.
Yeah. That's what's left of the channel.
So that doesn't look good.
Well, that gives you the answer why you had to pull your.
Yeah, lift it up when I turned it.
Okay, let's take a look at door one. I think we've got this stripped down completely. Check the weight on that now, Len, compared to what you brought in.
Oh, yeah, I could do it by myself now.
Yeah, all the heavy stuff is out. So most everything was in good shape. The one exception though was, this isn't the piece that came out. This is a spare I had, and this is not for this door. but this is the piece that the window drops down into. I got to look it up. I'm not sure what it's called. It was completely rusted away on that door. So we'll have to track one of those down. And when we get to the driver's door, at least if it's bad in the driver's door, we've got one here that is in decent shape. See what the, yeah, it weighs nothing now.
Dump all the garbage out.
Yeah.
Okay, this is lifted up one.
You want me to get the vacuum?
Oh, there was a lot of, now it's gonna be lighter yet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right. For the most part, it looks pretty good. We saw this earlier. We got this stuff going on around these edges, and I don't know. I think to me, it looks like it's just a crack in the paint. We'll get the paint off of there and see what it looks like. But passenger side door is gutted. Okay, the driver's door is off now, and it's looking pretty good too. There's a couple of things we got to do on this one. Over the years, this has had, I don't know how many different mirrors on it. We got 6 holes here. There's a couple here, she's pretty bashed in. And then another bunch of holes up here. So all these have to be filled. This is actually from the factory mirror, and Len has that mirror. So we don't have to do anything with those. But otherwise, the door bottoms look really good. The only other thing that we noticed is that this hole where the door limiter comes through, there's supposed to be a plate behind there to screw that mechanism in, and it's just gone completely. So we're going to have to locate one of those and plug weld it back in. Okay, what else? We did take the passenger door and took some paint off just to see what's going on the bottom. And we've got some pitting here. We've got a couple of pinholes, but for the most part, it's all metal. There's nothing here that we're going to have to worry about. We got a dent right here, and I can tell you from experience, you can't pound that out from behind. There's structure behind that. So we're going to get, after lunch, we're going to come back and we're going to grab the stud gun and see if we can pull this out a little bit and make it a little bit flatter. Let's go get some lunch. Okay, here's our plan. We marked directly above that spot, and we're going to drill a small hole here.
I think it should be a little bit right on the edge there. Is be the
Okay.
center point. Right about there is more of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're going to get something through here. We'll decide in a minute how big to make that hole. We'll start small. And then we've got a plate that's going to go in there right here. We'll set that plate down there to kind of spread that load, get a nice even hit. You can kind of see, let's get some, I don't know if we got good light or not, but
Perfect size plate. So
there we go.
right now it's on there.
Yep.
So if we can get that.
You see it teeter. So what we're trying to do is drive that down to see if we can get rid of that lump. Here, let me come around.
We're too far out.
That's okay. Too far out, we can work with. Because we can put a dolly in there and hammer it
Yeah,
nice and flat again.
Yeah.
So out on the edge there, it's a little bit high. But in the middle, it's looking about right.
Actually,
That's high. That's good.
Now we have it high.
That's good. Okay. Okay, so we're looking at this. Let me get this straight. I had Len bring this plate because I wanted to make sure this tunnel is just mangled all the way around where the transmission and the transfer case shifters come through. So I wanted this good plate here so we could make sure that we line everything up. But you can see it actually comes up here. And the whole reason for this is because the firewall is pushed in. It's actually shoved this way. Let's show you a different angle. Maybe you see a better view of what we're talking about here. Okay, straight down there. Yeah, you can see how far in. We got to shove this thing back probably close to a ½ inch. Okay. Yeah, so you can see we're touching there and we're way out over on the right side. So we're going to start with kind of the primitive bashing method and work our way in. All right, here we go. Everybody, ear protection on. Okay, we're going to start. Peel that off. Let's check our fit. There we go.
No.
We're getting closer. We're still up high, but it looks like the contact is down in here somewhere now. What do you think about here, Guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we'll pull her out. Yep. Len, you can film.
Do what?
You can film.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so right in there.
Yep. Okay, I checked
It's
it
down
out.
a little. Okay. Let's try it again.
Getting there.
Getting there.
Okay.
That thing is sticking out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That, I think the edging right here is.
Right in there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That looks like it'd be quite a bit better.
There's a high spot underneath here, I think, too.
Well, yeah, this is probably a low spot here
Low spot.
because I could see it. This, yeah, we need to pound this up from behind.
Okay.
So I think we're okay there. Is that side landing better? We got a low spot there, but that'll,
Might be a high spot right there.
okay.
You know, but these.
That'll flex in.
Yeah, that'll go in. It's supposed to be like.
Okay, this is an all-out bend fest here. We're trying to get all this stuff under the cab flattened out, straightened out. So Guy's working on the tunnel here, and Len is working on the seam that runs between the upper and lower firewall. So let's see how we did. Well, we got a long ways to go. We still got a trough running along there. All right, there goes Len with all the parts that I don't have to store. We put in a long day. I mean, it's already getting dark out. Well, we made a lot of progress, and this tunnel's the last thing we worked on, and we got it almost perfect. There was a couple other things I still wanted to finish up on here, so I took a little bit of time today and just tuned it in, and it looks really good. It's going to flatten out really nice when screws go in there. And just for comparison's sake, let's take a look at this and compare it to where we started. I think this is going to look really good. No more work necessary on the tunnel now. I want to start work on the upper firewall here by addressing all of the cracks. So I took a grinder with a stripping disc and I went through and just cleaned up every area I suspected there was a crack. There's actually nothing over here. I've got one little crack here. Probably hard to see, but it's right in there. And we saw these before, so I'm going to have to weld these up right here. I found another one right up here in the hood hinge mount and another one there. Scoot over here. We need to take care of this one. There's another one on this side on the hood hinge mount. And there's a lot of cracks down in here. I guess this one I could address, but I got to think about how I'm going to deal with all the rest of this. So this may actually get a patch. So I don't know if I'm going to weld those up right away. And then as we get over here, there's a bunch of cracks. But earlier on another video, I decided I'm going to probably just cut a good chunk of this metal out and make a patch for this and then re-drill that hole. All right, I'll spare you the welding. It took me a couple of tries to get the speed and the heat right on my welder, but I've got this one and I'm going to grind this off and see how it comes out. Okay, ground it off. Might have gone a little bit strong in my grinding, but it's the firewall, so I don't have to be super fussy. I think that'll work. I'll just keep going on the rest of these now. We're all welded up. I ground off everything. It's not going to be perfectly metal finished, but it's a firewall. So I think it's good enough. And I ran a light behind here to make sure all the cracks are filled. So we're done with this part of the job. I'm starting work on this part of the firewall. This is where I had to remove the that fender mount. And also there was a metal plate behind this. This plate right here. And it just doesn't belong there. And rather than try to work around the thing, I just ended up pulling it out. So now what I want to do is make a patch to cover this whole area. So I'm starting with a piece of cardboard. It's an old frozen pizza box. It's about the easiest thing to work with. I want to make a pattern that will fit in there, but I need to follow this curve. So I think I'll put the pattern in behind there and try to trace at least the beginning of that curve. But before I can do that, I think I want to cut just a little bit of this metal out of here because it's causing the pattern to kind of stick up. My approach here is to make the patch first. What I want is this thing to fit kind of right in between this plate and here. And follow this curve so I can just weld into that and then come up here. Looks like we'll trim a little bit off of there. And I want to come up and over the top of this. So I think that line right there is going to be about right. Okay, I think I got it where I want it. There is a little indent here, and it might be easier if I can make this flat. And I got good metal here, so I think what I'm going to do is kind of bring it right up to the edge of this right here. And just straight across the top. Let's go out back and get some metal for that patch. I really don't have any 18 gauge sitting around. Okay, these are some box sides I had left over from when I did my truck project. And so I'm going to cut some nice 18 gauge out of that. Okay, here's our patch material. It just came out of the side of that pickup box. think this was the outside, so I cleaned all the paint off, and this will be just fine for what we're doing on the firewall. The backside's pretty beat up, but that doesn't really matter. That's hidden. So we're gonna mark this and cut this out, and then we'll fit it up to the truck. Here's my patch cut to fit. I left a little room in here because I wanted to have a little meat on that to weld to and to be able to grind that flat. So I think we've got a good enough fit. Now I just need to trace this out and cut it out. Can't do all of this with a grinding wheel. I gotta get a little bit creative on how I go about this. It's our first fitting here. I can see I got a little bigger gap here than I would have liked, but I think what I can do is push this in a little bit, and I may have to use a little filler there, but I think I can get away with that. I think the whole thing is looking pretty good there. So what I'm gonna do, it looks like I gotta take a little more out here. What I'll do now is kind of mark the spots here where I need to clean it up, and then I'll grab a sander and work on that. Bit in there. Okay, I think I got a good fit now. It's a little gappy in a few spots, but that will lay down nice and flat. I want to show you what we started with before I show you the finished result, and maybe it'll go a little easier on me. All right, I'm done with that patch. I'm probably not going to do much more with it. You can see it's pretty rough looking in here around these edges, but most of this is hidden behind the battery box and the fender, so I'm not going to be too fussy about it. But we got a nice solid piece of metal in there now. With this patch in place, we need to put this fender mount back on. It's going to go in something like this, but I got to make sure it's in the right place. I'm going to use my driver's side as a guide for this, and just pulling out the calipers, and I'm going to take a measure from this flange for one of my points, and I think I'll flip around and do a measure to the center from the side flange. If I get these two right, then I know where to put the other one. So I've already done that. I've got my measurements. Now I just need to transfer those to the other side. As I was taking my measurements, I noticed something about this one that's different than the other side, and it's this. I have a captive nut that's welded onto this plate. This one, it doesn't have one, and I think it's probably just broken off of there. So I want to take care of that before I do anything else. So I'm going to make that captive nut because it needs to be long enough that I can get it welded on. Here we go. So I'm going to start with a piece of fairly thick steel. I've marked out where I need to cut, but before I cut it, I want to get my hole drilled while I've still got something to hang on to. First, I need to figure out what size this is. So I've got some little guides here. So I found the right one. It's a fine thread. This would be a 5/16 24. Then I looked up the size of the drill bit and pre-drilled so I can thread this now. And I'm going to do all of this before I cut it out. So I've got the hole now. Now I just need to tap this out. Hopefully it's the right size. Let's check our fit. Looks good. Now I can cut this out. I think I might cut this. I've marked it out, but I think I might cut it just a little bit oversized just to give me a little more room because I got to weld this in. All right, so this fits right in behind here, and it just needs to be welded in place. Now here's the challenge. How do I weld that? I can't get a welder back in behind here. So the solution for this is I'm going to drill a hole on either side of this. We'll slip this in and then we can plug weld it. All the force on this is actually trying to pull it this way. So all this has to do is just keep it from falling out of here. And that will be fairly easy to do. All right, I've got this drilled out and cleaned up. Got my nut cleaned up. Now I'm just going to put a bolt in here temporarily to hold it while I weld it. All right, we got that grounded flat, so when that fender goes up against here, it'll lay flat where it belongs. Now we can move on to the other side. Okay, we're drilled out. I got everything prepped. Put some weld through primer on the firewall and on the back of this bracket. Got my holes drilled. Now I'm just going to plug weld it. All done. Got a good solid plug weld on that. So that corner is finished up. With the fender mount done, I'm going to move on now and start working on this part of the firewall. I've already started cutting this out. And one thing I have to be aware of is that this is a factory hole. I marked it with an F, and I need to make sure I get that right back in the same spot because that's for the heater core. So I made up this template, aligned it with 2 existing holes that will stay in there. And on the back of the template, I've got that hole marked for the heater core. So when I'm done with this, I can put that back in there. All right, we got this cut out. Now I just need to make a template. So we'll go around back and we'll tape it in and trace it. Now when I cut this out, I'm going to cut it just a little bit big. I should have cleaned up these edges. It's all right. Anyway, I'm just going to cut it a little bit big, and then I can kind of sneak up on it with a sander to get it fit in the way I want it. All right, I've got my piece cut, but as you can see, there is a slight bend in here, probably more down here, and then it kind of trails off up here. So I need to put a bend in here, but I need to figure out where to start and end it. Now this little point here is where the top would be, but I'm going to take my marker and just kind of mark the spot where it bends down here. Now I can start putting a bend in here and fit this in. A solid piece of steel rod here that I'm going to use as a buck to start my bend. I'll hold it right there. Just start working it slowly. You know what? Yeah, I'm going the right way. Let's go fit it. Okay, the top here is a little too far bent, so I'll flatten this out and leave this alone. You see we got just a little twist in that now. Try it again. Okay. I think I can tweak this now. I think we're okay. I can start trimming this down to fit inside here. I think I got a pretty good fit. I've got this flush right along here, so I think what I'll do is tack weld it here and down to here, and then I can start working these sides in and get them to fit right. I got a good start on it. I got these tacked in. Now I need to start pressing this corner in, and I'll tack it up to about there. Then I need to pull this one out, and then I can get that one in and then finish welding it. I'd say we're more than tacked in on this. I just wanted enough contact points that when I started pounding on it that it wouldn't pop loose. So now I'll finish welding it up and grind it off, and I'll be back. Okay, we're done with that. Got it ground down. It looks like it's following the firewall nicely. So I think we're done with that one too. Now there's a lot more to do on this firewall, or a little bit more to do, I should say. But I think I want to wrap this up, get this video out, and then I'll continue work on the firewall. So I want to thank you. If you stuck around this long, I want to thank you for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you next time.